Hello everyone. So I want to talk to you guys about optimization and topology in Zbrush. And then on the next video, I also show you how to project high-res details into low-res details of the model. Okay. So what is topology? Topology is the act of creating new clean topology based on the features and details of a reference surface. Okay. So simply put, is to generate low poly from a high poly mesh. So you create a low poly face from a high poly mesh. So this is a very common use to create a clean quad-based mesh for animation. And then a lot of times you have a good UV on it. You can project a high-res details onto a normal map, onto a low poly mesh, and then you can animate the low poly mesh, and it looks just like the high poly itself. Okay, so some examples. So you've seen the video of Nicole's model. If not, you can check out the link in the description. There is a lot of good animation, and it's also very, very high res. And this is the high res model of his sculpture. And then this is the low res version. So you can see that the details is difference is quite a lot. And this is the high res model, and this is the low res that is retopologized. And so all the edge loops and everything is in quads, and then it's able to contain all the nice details on the UV map. So when it's actually shown on the video, it looks really high res, just like this. Okay, so a lot of different details here. So this one is also high detail, and just like look at the next one. This one is the one that is low detail. Okay, more high resolution of the model and more low res version. Okay, so he cut his UV map like this. I think it's also very good for you to study how he cut his UV map, and then the different maps that he used so that he can work in the 3D software for animation. Okay, in this case, his rigging system is something like this, and then he has different constraints for different areas to manipulate his model. Okay, so in the end, these are the various maps that he rendered, and it's composited like this. Okay, so this is another high res example of this model, and then you can tell now this is the low res version. Okay, so the high res and the low res version actually looks very similar, and you see this very often in games as well. So their low res version actually has high res details baked into it, so that it will be able to contain all the details. Okay, so many people actually don't like to be restricted to polygons, and then maybe I want to talk to you about the sentiments of artists in the 3D industry. So because retopology is very important process in the CG pipeline, and it allows us to reproject the high-res details into a low-res like this, so that it will look so beautiful like this, you know. But a lot of people doesn't like it, and if you do a Google, you can see the people hating on it and the complaints on the forums. And it's also understandable because it's kind of like tedious work. You kind of have to trace over. I'll just check out this link, and okay. So if you check that video, it'll show you the how he's able to create, how he's able to bring in the mesh and make it into a lower res version while containing some of these details, and then try to recreate and draw out all this mesh. So he's actually using one of these method called quad draw, and then I think I'll teach it to you guys on another video, probably a few weeks later, because I don't want to overload too much information this week. Oh, so this is the process. This is a process that a lot of people don't like, and then but already this method is already one of the best. So what I'm showing you here is a really good method already, and it has been optimized already. But previously it was even harder than this, because you have to essentially recreate your model. So it's kind of boring for people, because they have to recreate the model twice, and then it's not as fun as just sculpting freely around in ZBrush, that kind of thing, you know. So this is kind of like redoing some parts, but it is a very, very crucial part of being a good modeler, because that is where you really dictate where the edge loops are. You really dictate where the different parts of the edge is supposed to be, where it stops. So there's a lot of decision making and parts where you decide things, and then everything is in quads as well. Okay, so back to our PDF. Okay, so one of my friends, Koji Tajima, he's a very successful concept artist and 3D artist from Japan. I know him when I was working in Double Negative, and then he also told me that he hates polygons. And then actually, this guy is the one that inspired a lot of us in the company to pick up ZBrush itself, because he's just really amazing in ZBrush, and then he's got a lot of work in relation to concept and 3D together going for him. So I'm very surprised when he tells me that he hates polygons, and then because which is kind of like what the traditional 3D softwares are doing, like Maya, 3D Max, that kind of things. And it restricts his freedom to have fun. But make no mistake, he's also very good in those 3D softwares. But he really liked how the ZBrush and the Dynamesh system help him to give him all the freedom to model without worrying about the polygon, all this. Okay, so that time he was like, I think 24 or 25 years old, and then he's already got 2 books lined it up for him, and then a lot of his artworks easily go viral as well. So it's really super hardworking. So I'll recommend you to check out his online portfolio, his art station, things like that, and then follow him on LinkedIn, and very cool artist, very nice guy. Okay, so that's why I also keep teaching you guys in Dynamesh and lesser on subdivision, because it's easier to just have fun, have a lot of freedom, and less restrictions. But you must also know that in the future, when you need to create optimized models, you have to use it together for animation and for games. You will need to start to look into this few aspects. Okay, so sorry for the zoom just now. So for example, high res model projection of details to low res models, the subdivisions, and then retopology, things like that. So you need to look into this as you go along. Okay, so I've compared more of this high res to low res for you. So just now you saw this model. Now if I put it side by side, you'll see. So essentially you are using the high res and the low res, and then you are baking the high res to the low res to come up with this in between. So the one in between is the one that is optimized, and it has a star because it is low poly. It is very fast to animate. You can see the character run and load very fast in a game, or you can render very fast in a 3D animation project, things like that. So it's very well optimized, when you have this kind of workflow. Okay, so more examples. So this is a high-res ZBrush model, so of our shoulder guard, and then this is the lower res model. And the ones in between are the optimized version. So this is just 1 million poly count, and then it has four subdivision levels, and it's able to look almost identical to the one in high res. So if you do it properly, it can actually work pretty well. Okay, so this is more of the wireframe, so that you can see. Okay, so the comparison of a high res and low res model again. Comparison. Then this is artwork by one of my students in year 3. So she has a high res model, and then she did the low res model in Maya. And this is the sketch of a model. Okay, so I hope these few examples give you some ideas. So this artwork is by Yan Tong, and then you will be able to understand better. Okay, so I'll teach you more about how to project high res details into a low res model on the next video. Okay, so I'll see you in the next video. Bye bye.